We know that from the weightage of motion in a straight line is 4 marks for IP intermediate public examination. In that, the most important questions from the motion in a plane, this parallelogram law of vectors is also one of the most important question that there is a chance to come in a IP public examination, means intermediate public examination. These come for the 4 marks. 4 marks. There is a lot of chance to get this question. So, here it is a parallelogram law of vectors. What is the statement? What is parallelogram law of vectors? First of all, we should know that this is a parallelogram, right? So, from this is a parallelogram. Listen carefully. The statement is most important and easy. If you read twice, then you can get the statement easily. Here is that if two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction, means P bar and Q bar are the two vectors are represented in a magnitude and direction of adjacent sides of parallelogram drawn from a point. If two vectors are represented in a magnitude and a direction, if two vectors are represented in a magnitude and a direction by the adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point, the diagonal passing from through that point represents their resultant both in magnitude and direction. Simple. If two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction drawn from a point of two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, drawn from a point, the diagonal passing through that point represented the resultant in both magnitude and direction. The same means this is the parallelogram law. The two adjacent sides, that is OA and OC, are the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, and the OB is the diagonal of this parallelogram. These two adjacent sides represents the vectors. That is this is the one of the vector, that is P bar, and this is the one of a vector Q bar, and these are the magnitudes. P bar and Q bar are the magnitudes of that vector, and so that this is P bar, so the parallel line CB is also the parallel to this OA, so that's why this is also P bar, and as well as OC, the adjacent side, other adjacent sides of parallelogram law, OC is parallel to AB, so this is also come for the Q bar. Means here OA is the P bar, magnitudes of OA is P bar and OC is Q bar, and OB is R bar. And whenever the diagonal will be resultant, this will be represented in resultant. Once again, statement: if two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction of two adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn at a point, and from a point the diagonal passing through that point represents the resultant both in magnitude and direction. If two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction of adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point, the diagonal passing through that point represents the resultant both in magnitude and direction. This is the statement of a parallelogram law. In case of if you see the parallelogram, then you can easily get the statement. two adjacent sets of parallelogram. Thus P bar and Q bar are the vectors and R bar is the resultant. This is the diagonal of the parallelogram. These are the represents in magnitude and direction. Total are having the magnitude and direction. That P bar will be having the magnitudes and R is the, and bar will be the direction. So here it is that. Then how do we find out the magnitude for resultant? If we consider that OA line is extended to some distance up to point D and there is a perpendicular line drawn from the B to D, this will be the right angle. This will be the right angle. This is the angle between the P and Q will be the two vectors will be theta. Same as here also, this will becomes also theta. And the diagonal is making an angle with the x-axis will be considered as a alpha. Considered as a alpha. So here it is. First of all, according to this, from parallelogram, here the angle COA and as well as ABD also same. COA that is equal to angle ABD is equal to theta. Both is having the same angle COA and as well as a BAD. Also we can write that BAD. So total are having that theta. And also here we can write that BOA will be alpha. Angle BOA will be alpha. That is the second thing. Now from the triangle BAD, from triangle BAD, we are going to know this. From the triangle BAD we know that this will be the theta. So from this equation we can write that from sin theta is equal to this is the hypotenuse, we know that, and this is opposite and this is adjacent. So from that equation we can write that this will be the Q. So here that Q means here opposite by adjacent, BD will be the opposite and adjacent side means AD. Hypotenuse. Sin theta is equal to opposite by hypotenuse. The hypotenuse will be AB. So this will be AB. That is equal to, here the hypotenuse AB is equal to Q. So here BD by Q. That is equal to, if we can get BD is equal to, then we can get the Q is taken to this side, then it will become so Q sin theta. Q sin theta. Consider this is equation number 1. And the next one is cos theta. That is equal to, we know that adjacent side by hypotenuse. Adjacent side will be AD by hypotenuse will be same as AB. That is equal to AD by AB, we know that is a Q. So from that equation we can write that AD is equal to Q cos theta. So these are the magnitudes of the right angle. What we have that BD is equal to how much is there? Q sin theta means Q sin theta. And here AB is equal to Q cos theta. Q cos theta. So these are the values of Q sin theta and Q cos theta. By taking these values already we resolved into rectangular components. Nothing but we resolved this BAD, the Q bar is resolved, the vector Q bar is resolved into rectangular components. So that's why we can get these values. So from the total equation from the triangle, here the total values we have that from BOD, from triangle BOD. From BOD we are taking the parallelogram law of vectors. In the case of BOD, the Pythagoras theorem we are applying. From Pythagoras theorem. From Pythagoras theorem we know that is hypotenuse square is equal to adjacent square or opposite square plus adjacent square. Means the resultant here that opposite square plus opposite. What is the opposite? This will be the alpha. So this is the angle between the resultant and x-axis. So that's why this will becomes BD becomes opposite. So that's why here this will be the BD be the opposite and OD be the adjacent and OB with the resultant. Here we know that values, if we write the values, OA is equal to the total values we are writing that is from OA is equal to P bar, and as well as OB is equal to R bar that is equal to next one is AD is equal to Q sin theta. Already we have AD is equal to Q cos theta, and BD is equal to Q sin theta. BD is equal to Q sin theta we'll have. So that's why from the Pythagoras theorem we are applying that hypotenuse square is equal to means OB square. OB square is equal to opposite square means BD square. Opposite square plus adjacent square, that means to say OD square. This will be the opposite square, means this is the hypotenuse square is equal to opposite square plus adjacent square. This will be the Pythagoras theorem. So by applying that one, we know that OB is equal to R bar. Lateral we apply that. First of all, we know that OD is equal to, we have that OA plus AD. Since OD is equal to OA plus AD, we are applying that one. OB square is equal to BD square plus OA plus AD square. This is AD square. This is in type of this will be the like a plus b whole square formula we are extending. So then we can get that by extending this one according to the a plus b whole square, then we can get that is OB square is equal to BD square plus OA plus AD, means a plus b like that. So OA square plus AD square plus 2 into OA into OD, sorry AD, OA into AD. So from that equation we can write that we are applying these values, we have that is OB is equal to R. So that is R square. Next BD is equal to from the equation number 1 we have that Q sin theta whole square plus OA is equal to, we have that P square plus AD is equal to from the equation number 2 Q cos theta. So Q cos theta whole square plus another thing we have that the 2 into OA is equal to P bar, AD is equal to Q cos theta. So from this relation we are writing that this will be R square is equal to Q square sin square theta plus P bar square plus Q bar square cos square theta plus 2PQ cos theta. So from that relation there is a Q square are same as we are taking common, then P bar square plus Q bar square we are taking common, then we can get that sin square theta plus cos square theta plus 2PQ cos theta. This is the equation. Then we know that sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. So from that relation we can get that R square is equal to P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This is the equation for magnitude of the resultant, that is R square is equal to root of P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. This will be the equation for magnitude of the resultant. The above equation will be magnitude of the resultant. Then the direction. We know that what is direction? Means the direction will be the tangential, means the direction of the resultant. So direction of the resultant. Here the direction of the resultant, if we take that is from triangle. We have the values that from the triangle same as tan theta is equal, tan alpha is equal to, we can write that is from BOD, from from triangle BOD, same as tan alpha is equal to tangential, we know that opposite by adjacent. So that's why here according to the diagram we have that opposite will be BD and adjacent will be OD. But we know that BD by OD is equal to OA plus AD. So we know the value from the equation number 1, BD is equal to Q sin theta by OA plus OA is equal to P bar plus AD is equal to Q cos theta. So that's why we are writing that is tan alpha is equal to P plus Q cos theta. Means here it is that alpha is equal to tan inverse of Q sin theta by P plus Q cos theta. This will be the equation of the direction of a resultant by using the parallelogram law of vectors. We can find out the magnitude and the direction. Now once again, what is parallelogram law? Means if two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction of adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from a point, the diagonal passing through that point represents their resultant both in magnitude and direction will be the statement of the parallelogram law. By taking the parallelogram law, by extending the horizontal adjacent line, then we can get that is D point, and from that also we can get that opposite perpendicular line from B to D. From that equation we can get the values, those are that. Then if we want to find out the magnitude of the resultant, the line extended up to D and then draw a perpendicular from the D to B, then we can get that. Here the angle COA angle BOAD is equal to theta, and from the triangle BD we can get the value. So we are resolving into rectangular components. That right angle we got that by extending the line, and we draw the perpendicular line from the point to the certain right angle we draw that. By taking we are resolving the Q vector into rectangular components, means resolving the components, resolving into two components, the Q vector resolving into two components. By that we can get that B is equal to Q sin theta and AD is equal to Q cos theta. Those are the resultant vectors, means is nothing but this will be the QY and QX and QY. So those are the values. Then we can get that by applying the Pythagoras theorem, by taking the triangle which is in the parallelogram, that is BOD. From that we can get that hypotenuse square plus opposite square plus adjacent square. From that equation we can get that OD, we have that OB square is equal to BD square plus OD square. OD means OA plus AD we have. So by this is in the model of A plus B whole square. So that's why we are comparing that one. We are extending as A plus B whole square formula. From that equation OB square is equal to BD square is equal to OA square. Then OB square is equal to BD square plus OA square plus AD square plus 2OA OD. We are extending this one as we are describing at a plus b whole square formula. By applying the values which we have, then final by simplification we can get the value for r square is equal to root of p square plus q square plus 2pq cos theta is the magnitude of the resultant vector. Magnitude of the resultant vector. And the direction of the resultant vector will be by taking the tan alpha, then we can get these values. So the direction, by changing the direction, then the values also changes, the magnitude is also changes. By taking in case 1, if in case of theta is equal to 0 degrees, in case of theta is equal to 0 degrees, in case of theta is equal to 0 degrees, then we can get that magnitude, the magnitude r is equal to, by applying theta is equal to 0 degrees, we know that cos 0 is equal to 1. So from that equation we can get that root of p square plus q square plus 2pq, because of cos 0 degrees is equal to 1. Cos 0 is equal to 1. So from that a plus b whole square formula is there. So that's why we can get that is root of p plus q whole square. P plus q whole square. R is equal to, then we can get r is equal to p plus q. By cancelling the square and root, then we can get r is equal to p plus q. And the direction and the direction will be, if in case of theta sin 0 is equal to 0, 0 by something will be 0, so that's why we can get that tan alpha is equal to 0. Here is that, then here we can get that the value tan alpha is equal to 0, then we can get that direction. If in case of theta is equal to 90 degrees, theta is equal to 90 degrees, case 2 theta is equal to 90 degrees, then cos 90 is equal to 0, 0 means the total term becomes 0, then root of we can get that r square is sorry r is equal to root of p square plus q square, p square plus q square, then this will be the result magnitude, then tan alpha is equal to, here we have that sin 90 is equal to 1, then we get cos 90 is equal to 0, cos 90 is equal to 0, so here is the q by p, we can get tan alpha is equal to q by p, we can get the values. Like this we can get the number of values by changing the angle, we can get the number of values, more different values we can get by the different direction. Means if the direction changes, then magnitude is also changes according to the, this is about the parallelogram law. This is the most important for the IP examination, please read carefully.